Okay, so we're here at the Willimantic Center with
McBride.
Jody McBride, and he's been in this recovery community for
11 years.
And you were just telling us the stories about growing up, being bussed, being one of the first people bussed.
Yeah, I was one of the first kids put in Project Concern back in the mid to late 60s. You know, when the federal government decided to desegregate schools, you know, I was bussed out to the West Hartford school system. And you know, even though it was tough in the beginning, I don't regret it now, because I got a really good education, you know.
Back to his youth.
Yes. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't regret. Like, I remember asking my mom, like, because I didn't want to go to school when I was young, because it was tough. But, you know, I think about my mom. She just wanted us, me and my two sisters, because I have two sisters, you know, she just wanted us to have the best, what she wasn't able to get. So, and I look back on it now, and I don't regret it, because I got a really good education going to school there. Like, because West Hartford was probably one of the best school systems in the country, let alone Connecticut, but probably in the country back then. So I got a really good education. I was fortunate to have went to school there, you know, and you know, I'm grateful today for it, you know.
So why don't you tell us your story?
As far as
How you came into recovery? Why? What kind of things you'd like people to know about recovery?
Well, I ended up in recovery because I went down the path of drugs and alcohol in my life. You know, my story is no different than any other person's story you hear. It started out with just that feeling of just not being quite right, you know. Like, even before I got bussed out to school, I was picked on, you know, because I was a sensitive child. You know, my mom the one told me, because she said when I was little, she couldn't leave me anywhere without crying. So, my mom told me I was a crybaby when I was little. So, I was a sensitive child from the start. And as I got older, I got picked on because of it, you know. So, I never felt like I fitted in, because then when I was bussed out to West Hartford, you know, I wasn't welcome there in the beginning either, so it was tough for me. And I never was comfortable in my own skin my whole life. Like, and I always share the story about discovering alcohol, and how alcohol was like liquid courage. That's what alcohol was like for me. Because I remember when I first drank alcohol, how I just didn't have no fear anymore. So I drank. Alcohol became my best friend. So, and you know, but of course, as I grew up, I couldn't function without the alcohol. You know, because every time I didn't have the alcohol, I was that scared little kid. And, you know, that's what led me down the path of alcohol and drugs in my life, was, you know, just fear. You know, I just wanted to fit in. Mm-hmm.
So you made a change 11 years ago?
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I bounced in and out of recovery for years. I mean, I was that person. I could get sober, but I couldn't stay sober. Or I could get clean, I didn't stay clean, you know. I always relapsed, because I was looking to fill a void inside. And even when I got everything I thought I wanted and needed, it still never filled that void. And today I understand why they teach us to try to get a relationship with a higher power, a God of your understanding, because that's the only thing that filled that void for Jody. Like, I tried doing it on my own, for years, and I failed. It was only when I came back in 2007 that I actually followed the guidelines of 12-step recovery. You know, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm just glad that I discovered this place. Like I was sharing with Conrad, like I came to Willimantic and I never heard of CCAR, you know, and from the moment I heard about this place and I knew what this place was about, I loved this place because this place taught you that you could put a positive face on recovery, and I grabbed a hold of that because I had a lot of guilt and shame, and I didn't feel good about Jody, but this place taught me that I needed to love Jody and feel good about Jody, and I got involved, and I didn't let my guilt and shame, you know, stop me. I let it motivate me to change my life and turn it around, because this place taught me I can be a positive influence, you know, and I started to feel good about me. So I became a part of CCAR, and this place taught me that you could have fun in recovery, you know, because I was that person that every time I didn't get high or I didn't drink and drug, I felt like my life was over. Like there was I used to say recovery was boring, but that's because I never did anything to make myself a part of it. But then CCAR taught me, like, you know, we have fun in recovery. So I remember years ago we formed a committee just to show people we have fun in recovery. And we used to go places, and we went all over the place and having fun. We had a social committee, like, and we used to plan events, and we went everywhere just to show people we have fun in recovery. And I became a part of that because, you know, I needed that. Because what I learned is that when you get high, you dull your brain, that nothing stimulates it naturally. So that's why they teach us early in recovery to have fun, because you need to stimulate that part of your brain that you dulled for so many years with drugs. Like, I never knew that. And I learned that here, you know. And that's why I became a part of this center, and I keep coming.
Cool.
Here's the phone.
Hartford? Okay, I was born and raised in Hartford. Yeah, so do you know, oh my God, I can't even think of his name now. He's a part of your center, like, Tyrone. You know Tyrone? Yeah, I'll let Portia know you called, though. That's my wife. Yeah, she was at the doctor. Okay. Yeah, today's her birthday. Yeah, it's her birthday today. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you too, Jessica. Good talking to you. Bye. Wow.
So is there anything else you'd like people to know about recovery, about CCAR?
Yeah, well, the thing I want people to know is that you only gonna get out of recovery what you put into it. But like I tell people, you want to make the most of your recovery, get involved with CCAR. You know, you can't go wrong. Serious. Cause every day you could put a positive face on recovery here.
Okay.
Even when you don't want to. You know, because then you learn it's not about you. It's about the ones that are still sick and suffering. You want to help them, to let them know that recovery is possible in their life. You know, so that's why I keep coming. And that's it. Thank you.
I'm in recovery from the use of benzos for a long time, and I'm struggling with my addiction to cigarettes, and I'm realizing that I have a tool at home that I can use, which is called a patch, and that perhaps I can't do it by myself, and I need to put the patch on and use that tool because I am an addict, and it's okay to get some help, and my help will be that patch. So tomorrow morning, before I go to work, my plan is to put that patch on, because today has been an absolute struggle, which I don't have to put myself through such a struggle to do that, when there's a tool the doctor gave me to use that will help me with that. And I'm feeling anxious and I don't know what to do with myself, and that tool's going to help me. And why I take my will back. So it's all about Cindy took her will back. I can do this without help. No, I can't. I'm an addict. I need help. So my help in form of a group would be the patch. And to talk about it. And to do some self-talk. You know, you can't breathe walking up that hill. Remind yourself, you're walking up that hill, you can't breathe. Perhaps this addiction of you is going to kill you, and you need to stop. So I need to put into practice some self-talk and drink a lot of fluids and just continue to talk about it and remind myself that every time that I wanted to have a cigarette, which is all the time, no, okay, is that I can tell myself, I want to live, I want to be able to breathe, and remember walking up that hill and saying, I can't breathe. And that's a really uncomfortable, and remember last week being so sick and having the cold or whatever I had triggering the asthma and being in bed and not being able to move. I don't want to be like that anymore. That scared me, and how quickly I can forget how much that scared me. So I need to use my program, I need to talk to people, and I need to put that patch on because I need help, because it's bigger than me, and I got to own that.
Be independent unless you learn to ask for help and take the help that comes along.
That's true.
Yeah.
So today I'm not going to beat myself up, and tomorrow I'm going to put help in.
Very good. Anything else you'd like the world to know about what's going on with you or your thoughts?
You can do it, but it's okay to ask for help.
Okay. Okay, we're here in the Willimantic CCAR Center, and we have with us.
Hi, I'm Heather Ross, and I'm one of the ED recovery coaches here at CCAR.
So CCAR has a new program. It's called Recovery Coach in the Emergency Department, and Heather is going to tell us about what the program is and a little bit of her story of how she got here.
Okay, great. Hi, again, my name is Heather Ross, and I'm one of the brand new ED recovery coaches here at CCAR. So CCAR obviously is a nonprofit organization that's been up and running for a number of years, but one of the newer programs that CCAR came up with was to have recovery coaches meet people exactly where they are. So a sort of boots on the ground concept where people who are in recovery and who are certified recovery coaches are meeting recoverees at the time of their greatest need, which is often in the emergency department of hospitals. So our hospital program is growing. In fact, it started with just a few hospitals, is now up to 9, and as far as I know is growing to 11 hospitals in the very near future. And so we have a number of coaches who work in the emergency departments throughout the state of Connecticut. So not only do we have the brick and mortar centers, we also have recovery coaches who go out to different hospitals and meet recoveries exactly where they are. In terms of my story and how I ended up here, my background was actually in education. I was an English teacher, so I taught high school English for, almost 20 years. I taught English and public speaking in a priority district here in Connecticut, barring 2 years of teaching when I lived in England. So for me, it's always been a passion of mine to work with and serve the underserved. I certainly did that working in a priority district with teenagers, and am really grateful to have the opportunity to do that now with CCAR with people who are in recovery. I am in recovery myself. I am an alcoholic. My alcoholic story is a little different, I think, than a lot of people because it was later in life for me. So although alcoholism really runs throughout my family, mine did not develop to the point that it needed sort of an intervention. My rock bottom was a little bit later in life than maybe some other people. It was in my late 30s, I guess, where I started to realize that I was using alcohol as medicine. In fact, I vividly remember I had been on a horrible binge with alcohol. My drinking was really isolatory. I was up in my bedroom just drinking and drinking and drinking for probably about 3 days. My blinds were drawn and I was hiding in my bedroom alone. One morning, I woke up and I looked at the side of my bed and I was disgusted with what I saw. There were bottles everywhere. I realized I was filthy, and I hadn't spoken to anyone or seen anyone in days. I was shirking all of my responsibilities. It was at that moment that I was lifted from that bed, and I had a magnum of wine, and I went into my bathroom and I poured it down the sink. But I want to share that I don't think it was me that poured it down the sink. I think I was lifted by God. I think Christ entered my room, He entered my life, and He was the one. An alcoholic in her cups, it's tough, I think, for her to get rid of any alcohol, and I was able to do that day, and it wasn't me. It was something much, much greater than I am. And my belief is that it was God. God met me where I was. From there, I immediately picked up the phone. I called a friend of mine, a woman from my home fellowship, which is Calvary Fellowship in West Hartford. My church home is just amazing. So I called her, called a friend, and I said, I'm ready. This is it. I'm done. I want to go into rehab. So long story short, I had to be detoxed in an ER before I went away to recovery at a mountainside out in Litchfield County. A fantastic place. I absolutely loved being there. From the minute I poured that wine down the sink, I have never had a drink again. What my recovery looks like today, well, obviously I'm working in recovery. I do a lot with Celebrate Recovery, which is sort of like a Christian-based AA in the sort of short and simple version of what that is. I know I mentioned my church. I do a lot of work with my church. I teach Sunday school once a month. I do home fellowships, so I typically, depending on the semester, I'm in 1 or 2 Bible studies. I was a team leader for our community outreach day, where we did some really fun stuff. We took cookie care packages to the local first responders in our town, and my son worked with me to do that. In 2 weeks, I am a team leader for a group of people representing Calvary Fellowship at Celebrate West Hartford, so my son and I will do that as well. And I try to be as involved as possible, not only with the home fellowships, but with any of the outreach things that we do at the church, including doing things like stuffing backpacks for students who go home at the weekend, maybe without food. We do a lot with the homeless population in Hartford. We also do a lot of work with a fellowship in Haiti. I have not been to Haiti, but it is a goal of mine to spend like a week or so with my church within the next year or two. They go for about 7 to 10 days to Haiti, and they're actually physically building a church there, and trying to rebuild that community. So that in a nutshell is my story. There's so much more to tell, but you have to come down to CCAR and check us out, and maybe I can tell you a little bit more. Thanks so much.
What kind of training did you have for this?
For CCAR?
For your job?
Yeah, you actually literally bucked me from training. So yeah, like I said, I'm really new to CCAR. We've done a bunch of things. So this week I worked twice with a gentleman named Art Woodard, who's super bright, extremely wise. We did a workshop and we earned CEU continuing education credits in looking at stress in recovery. We trained on the telephone support system that we have here at the center. So I'm sure some people are familiar with the TRS, which is when we call recoveries, they sign up for a system where they're called once a week and we check in with them and see if there's any help that they need in their recovery. There's a lot of administrative stuff that we do as well, but our biggest training is actually for the new team, which includes me. We're doing in June 18th to the 22nd. We do training through CART, and that's where we become certified recovery coaches. So that's the more intensive kind of art and science of the training. But what we're doing right now is not only training here in the centers, but we are also shadowing coaches who are already working out in the field. So those coaches are already certified, and the newbies like me will go out and start shadowing. We actually start in 2 days. We start on Friday, so we'll go out and shadow those people when they go out and do their coaching in the emergency departments in and around Connecticut.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were
There's
that.
people here who are far more experienced, so I'm sure they could share even more.
Okay. And so since you are in recovery and you, a lot of your recovery is about giving back, or giving away.
Yeah, giving away the grace we've been given.
Do you have anything else that you want to make sure that people out there know?
Wow, you know, one of the things I like about CCAR is that their focus is on the idea that there are multiple pathways to recovery, and I think service is one of those. You asked about giving back, and I think I'm so humbled watching some of the volunteers who are in here all the time. They're helping to clean, they're preparing presentations, and they're doing so much work here at the centers. And I do think that service is a great way for those of us who are in recovery to give back. You know, like I said, I do a lot with my church. So, and if you're not a believer and if you're not a churchgoer, there are so many other things you can do in and around your communities to give back. And I think you'll find that those esteemable acts are so beneficial. So selfishly, you're not only helping someone else, but you're helping your own recovery if you're going out and being charitable and being magnanimous in your community. And the community of recovery right now really could use that help with the current, you know, opiate epidemic that we're in. So I think there's so much that you can do, whether it's here at CCAR or, you know, out and about in your own additional recovery communities.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The Lord es mi pastor y nada me faltará. En pastos delicados Él me hará descansar and leads me to quiet pools and fresh water. Amen.